Welcome to the first. You have a story. If you look back on your life, you've done things for the first time that no one in your family, in your town, in the country has done. This is Dr. Sandi. You have unknowingly paved the way for others without knowing it or even acknowledging it. This is where you tell your story so that those who come after you can walk in your footsteps to build their own firsts. Welcome everyone to the first podcast. I met Tynesha Frazier when she became a member in my Omni Toastmasters club. So let us welcome Tynesha today. Toastmasters is an international group that teaches public speaking and is a big part of my life and has become very important to Tynesha because she's taken on a lot of responsibilities at higher levels, like the area and district level, which means that she manages several clubs at a time. Tynesha is the first in our family and circle of friends to participate in any kind of a self-improvement program like Toastmasters. And that's a very brave thing. I don't know how brave you think this is, but let me tell you, public speaking is the number one fear in the world, even over death. Tynesha has since gone on to get 2 undergraduate degrees and a graduate degree. That's making her another first in our family because she made that happen. And during college, she became exposed to Greek life and is now a member of a sorority and an international fraternity group. The biggest thing for Tynesha, though, the biggest first is she is the first to start her own business as an independent owner of a jewelry company. Our jewelry company is a direct sales company called Paparazzi Accessories, where everything is $5. So let's get shopping with Tynesha at Paparazzi Accessories while you listen to this podcast. Welcome, Tynesha. Hey, Tynesha. Today I'm talking to Tynesha Frazier. Tynesha and I met in Toastmasters a couple of years ago. I can't even remember how many years ago. So welcome to my podcast, The First, Tynesha.
Thank you, Sandi, for inviting me. I'm so happy to be here with you today.
You're more than welcome. More than welcome. I wanted to talk to you because you had a couple of interesting firsts when you sent in your information. I wanted to talk to you anyway, even just from Toastmasters. So let's get to know you a little bit better. We talked about Toastmasters, so let's start there.
Yes.
Tell me about your first in Toastmasters.
Well, for starters, I am the first in my immediate family, circle of friends, or general area, I would say, to become a member of Toastmasters, as far as I'm aware of.
Did they know about Toastmasters? Do you think your family knew about Toastmasters?
No, they didn't know about Toastmasters. They only knew about Toastmasters once they learned that I'll talk about Omni Toastmasters Club, which is the club I'm a member of, and I'm working on speeches to prepare to deliver at the club, or I'm going to this event, or I'm going to that event. That's how they found out about it. And then they asked me, so what is Toastmasters? I'll say, well, it's a communication and leadership development program. Why are you doing that? Because I want to become a better communicator and better leader. Duh.
I know people don't usually get it because speaking to them, especially for people who are not nervous speakers and talk all the time, but they're just talking to family. If you put them up on a stage to speak, they have nothing to say. Until that moment, they're not aware that they have a speaking issue, which is why a lot of us come to Toastmasters, is to make ourselves better, or for me, it's getting the ums out of my speech.
Yeah.
And even the filler words.
Definitely.
Well, have you invited them to Toastmasters?
I have. I have. And the issue with getting people to come out to a Toastmasters club is mostly them thinking or believing that you're trying to trap them somewhere, like send them to like a direct sales marketing event, and they don't want to be, they don't want to go there, or they're thinking that you're trying to sell them this or sell them that. And I say, no, it's not about that. You know, and if it's not fun, also for some people, they want to go to a party or they want to go to other type of event.
Yes.
And they don't really want to sit there and listen to speakers and communicators or whoever and learn from them. They just think, okay, you know what? This is just going to be a long presentation. It's going to remind me that I'm in school. I don't want to be in school right now. I want to have a little fun. No, I'm not going. So,
okay. Really I find that more with millennials than with the older people.
Well, I am a millennial, so my associates, friends, most of the family members that I hang out with, associate with, is millennials as well. You know, that's my age group. So of course, you're right about that. It is a millennial thing.
I sent out a mini invitation for Take Your Daughters to Work. It should have been the one we just did on Friday. And I got back from the millennials, who does this on a Friday night?
Yep.
I said, I do this on a Friday night. And I got back, get a life.
Wow. Really?
Get a life. Who does this on a Friday night? I could be going out and doing things that I enjoy on a Friday night. You're correct. This is a millennial thing. The older people will more likely say, I have nothing to do on a Friday night. I'll listen in.
Yeah, they'll come out. They'll come out and they'll support and give you nice positive feedback and say, oh, great job. And then you say, hey, you want to be a member? Well, not right now. But at least, you know, they come out and they try. But I think for the most part, it's not, I think it's a little bit more than that. It's a lot of us, if we are not told or informed that we have to work on certain communication skills, certain leadership skills, we're not going to look for that.
And ourselves, just to work on ourselves. Most people don't work on themselves.
Most definitely. And that's actually what kind of brought me to Toastmasters. I was working with a like a life coach, and they instructed, I would say they advised me to, okay, if I feel uncomfortable about speaking in public, then maybe I should join this group called Toastmasters. And I asked, so what is Toastmasters? And that night I got on, Googled Toastmasters, Googled a club near me, and I found Omni Toastmasters Club, and that's how I got started.
Okay. No, and thank you. You've been an asset to our Omni Toastmasters Club.
Thank you for saying that. I really do appreciate it, Sandy. And so fillers do happen, but I was actually a lot worse in the beginning. I not only had fillers, there was a lot more stuttering, especially when it comes to speaking in public and being put out there like, oh, yes, Tynesha, it's your turn to speak. I walk up to the stage, the front, I'm up there, I freeze, I start shaking, visibly shaking,
really?
Shaking. Yes. School presentations, you saw it, and I pray that my team will be the last team for the professor to call, because I don't want to go up there. And then, and the funny thing is that when they say we run out of time, I'm like, thank you, God, you heard my prayers.
Really?
I was so afraid of getting up there in front of class, which is why reasonable to say the resulting factor is I didn't always have a good grade on the presentation part, because, you know, those things are calculated into the final grade.
Right.
But yes, that's a real thing. I was that scared. And I think at one point
the fear of public speaking is the number one fear in the world. Even over dying.
Yes, and it makes you a little bit delusional too, because at one point I was very close to trying to bribe or sweet talk the professor not to let me visit, so I didn't want to
My
go.
goodness.
But that was a pass. It's not like
No,
that
that's
anymore.
good. I'm glad that you learned enough to get over your fear, Tynesha, because you've, like I said, you've been a real asset. No one would know in Toastmasters that you ever had a fear of speaking.
Yeah,
You've come a
it's
long way.
fake it till you make it.
Well, you fake it, you practice while you're faking it.
Yes.
That's the thing. You practice and practice. One day you realize you're not stuttering anymore. You're not even afraid to talk to people because even if they're not your friends, you're so familiar. What I like about Toastmaster, it gives you a set formula for
Yes.
speaking and for the meetings as well. You
Yeah.
know who's coming, you know the roles of everyone, so you feel more comfortable when you understand the roles. You have an agenda. And if you move all of that over into your personal life, you will feel more comfortable with speaking. If you have an agenda every time you speak, you know what you're going to say and what's on the table to talk about. We
Yeah.
kind of did that today. I have an intake form. So you know the things in advance, what you want to talk about. Then you're comfortable talking about those things. That's my agenda, right?
Hmm.
You just have to translate it into real life.
Yes, and it's all about, it comes down to planning, as you say, and just being prepared and comfortable, knowing your speech, knowing your topic, and knowing
Right.
what you're going to say well, so that you're comfortable with talking about it. Because if you are going to talk about a topic that you have no knowledge in or no knowledge of, and you feel that this is not really something that really resonates with you, you go up to the front to do a presentation or speak on it, and you're going to find yourself stuck, and
Yes.
you're going to feel that
It's
like an
again that fear
imposter.
to feel. Yes.
Yeah, like the
Yes.
imposter. You're like, oh, this is not me. People can see that I don't know what I'm talking about, and it's going to come out in your habits and your presentation. So yeah, you got to plan. You got to plan. You got to prepare.
You plan,
And
and with that thing that I also like about Toastmaster, it teaches you how to speak when you don't know the topic.
yes, impromptu speaking.
When you don't know the topic, you can speak, you can say things like, what is that about? You can turn it around and ask the next person, what is that about? I don't know that. What is that about? You can still have a dialogue without knowing a topic.
Yeah, and it's it kind of, the impromptu speaking portion helps you just speak on the cuff, speak right on your feet. So you're put out there, come up with a great response, a quick response, deliver it, and to kind of keep the conversation going, which is really important for interpersonal communications. You're going to meet somebody, you want to have a conversation with them, or you're going to go to a job interview. You want to be able to respond to questions of the job interview correctly, or the way that's going to make you seem
Yes.
fit for the job. Yeah, so Toastmasters does help with that as well. I still personally need some work with that myself. I do know that that's an area I still have to continue to work
The
on.
impromptu speaking.
Yes, because I think it's more so, it's finding the right things to say and the appropriate times to say them.
You
Like,
know, I agree with the appropriateness, but there's no right thing to say. I think people worry about the words they're going to say instead of just speaking to people.
okay,
You're looking for fancy words and big words, and the simplest words will convey what you want to say.
okay,
I
so
think in terms of a fifth grade should understand what I'm saying, a fifth grader. I don't have to have big, elaborate words to say things. I just need to make you understand it more than trying to impress people with big words.
that is a really accurate assessment of that. I think I agree. I do now realize that in thinking that you don't have the right thing to say is about word selection for my case. So thank you for helping me see that.
Just say what's from your heart and just make someone understand. It's just a lot easier. So how did you decide to join a sorority if you had thought you had this problem? How did that differ? Tell me about your sorority.
Well, the sorority came before Toastmasters. It was my first freshman year of college, and I wanted to have that big college experience. And so there was clubs on the campus. I looked into the clubs, which clubs I can join, what clubs I can't join because of the major and so on, that the administrators or the counselors, they try to direct you where you should go in college life. Well, back in my day, I don't know if they do that now. I say back in my day, like it's that far back, but
they still do. That's their job, is to advise you on the direction you want to take.
Yeah. So I wanted to form a connection with fellow students or people in my class, graduating class or anticipated graduating class, or however you want to call it, my school chums, right? I wanted to form a relationship, meet some new people, build some connections, build some relationships. And I Googled somewhere at one time, okay, so sororities are the best way to do it. And in looking for a sorority, there was one on the campus. And I rushed and I received the bid.
Explain rush.
Okay, so rush is when the organization comes together and the members of the organization come together and they plan certain events for potential invites to come and learn about the organization a little bit, but also really get to know the sisters or other members. And based on that interaction, so you come to Rush, you want to network, you want to introduce yourself to this person, to that person, have a conversation, get to know this person, get to know that person, so that you can seem favorable, right? So that you can.
Okay. So the goal for you is to impress them.
Exactly.
Enough to join that sorority, because you've identified previously that that's the sorority you want to join.
Yes.
Okay.
A lot of people come into the whole aspect of Greek life thinking that, you show up and then you're going to be this magnet and people are going to be drawn to you. It happens sometimes, but it's not always the case. Right. You got to open your mouth and actually talk to.
You have to sell yourself.
Sell yourself, yes. In life, you have to sell yourself everywhere, right? In the sense that I'm good at this, I'm good at that. I can do this, I can offer this, so that they know that, well, you're going to be an asset to our organization instead of a liability, right? So.
That's interesting, because I was invited a couple of times to join a sorority. And it turned out I was interviewing them rather than they were interviewing me. I didn't feel sororities were for me. I didn't like the aspect of being forced. When I say forced, having to do certain things that are not necessarily personally my value set. You just did it because you were in a sorority. I interviewed strongly with several of them and I said, no, thank you. I don't feel this is a place for me. And I knew quite a lot more than the people who were interviewing me. I need to go to a place where I can learn, and I don't feel right now this was a learning organization for me, at least not in college. And part of that is probably because when I went to college, I didn't finish college until I was older.
Mm.
So I had acquired quite a bit of skill set by the time people invited me to do things. And I never just really felt a sorority. I never needed to feel that sense of belonging, at least not to a sorority. I have friends in every sorority there possibly is. And maybe that's what that should happen if I saw it as just networking, which it is a great networking tool, then I probably would have joined one. But I just went to all my friends' different sorority events. So if you see friends that I know from Delta, they're like, "Oh, you're a Delta from so." I'm like, "No, I'm not." AKA, you were at our AKA. No, I'm not. Like I have no, you're Phi Psi, whatever. No, I'm not. It confuses them because they see me at all these events, but it was because of my friends. So
Wow.
do you enjoy your sorority? Is that something you enjoy?
During my undergrad years, yes.
Which one? Which sorority were you a part of?
Delta Sigma Chi. It's a local multicultural organization in the tri-state area.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are they part of the bigger Delta Sigma?
No.
No. Okay. No, so there are a lot of Greek organizations, but the whole premise is to have a sense of belonging and to give back to
Yeah.
school or the community.
Yes. It was a building experience. Before that, I had no forward thinking about networking, forward thinking about outside connections, or just doing something that's bigger than myself, because that's typically, what the sororities are founded on, how to connect with the community, how to build on that, and really develop and share certain skills with those your peers and those who might want to emulate you in a sense.
Right.
But it was a really building and developmental experience for me. I've grown a lot. I want to say, if I had not joined, because it was actually the first part tour that was opened the door for me wanting to have a greater impact, to be honest. I joined a sorority and then I saw a bigger world. So of everything and anything I can do. For the impact was community service or community related. So we will participate in all the walks, AIDS walk, breast cancer walk, and several others. We will do cleanups for parks. We would do food kitchens, soup kitchens, food pantries, and just really helping out the community in those areas. And I realized in doing those things how many people were actually in need. Yeah. That actually led me to become a member of New York Cares volunteer management organization, where I actually led a team of other people to do similar projects. So it's like a domino.
It taught you leadership. Yes, it taught you leadership skills, and then you take that out into the community and teach someone else.
Yes.
That's fantastic. I'm fully aware sororities have a lot to offer. I just didn't feel at the time that it had something to offer me. But I've been very involved with them.
It's really what you get out of it. You got to, like you say, you have to know what your values are, what your principles are, what things you're looking for, and then go from there. And it's a kind of considered like a soup, right?
Yeah.
And you have to, it's just the stock. You have to find out, okay, what is going to be added into that stock to make it more beneficial and tastier for you.
That's true. That is very
So
true.
you're in this organization that's a stock, a soup. You want it to be more educational. Look for educational opportunities. Throw it in your soup. You want it to be more developmental. You throw that in your soup. You want it to be more outreach. Throw that in your soup. So it's really a foundation of what you can bring to the organization and how you can help, because it's a network. It's a collective, collaborative network. And I'm starting to think that a lot of people, for the most part, don't really see the collaboration part of it. I just want to be here. I just want to get. But what do you offer? You have to come from a place of service. How do you serve others? How do you serve your organization? What can you add? What can you help it? What could you add to help it improve? That's you adding substance to your stock. And that's how I saw it. I didn't really go in thinking I was going to get a whole bunch of X, Y, and Z. I went in thinking, what can I bring to that to further the mission along?
That's awesome. That's a great way to think about it, because some sororities, especially frats, have that bad reputation of just partying and going crazy while you're in school. It does take a lot of your time, but it's worth it if you're getting some leadership skills and networking out of it. It teaches you time management too, because you have to get things done. But speaking of that, while you were in school, in addition to your sorority, you managed to get 2 undergraduate degrees. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Thank you. So yes, I have an associate's in applied science degree in ophthalmic dispensing. Ophthalmic dispensing is related to the eye care industry, vision care technology. I received that degree from New York City College of Technology.
What made you get a degree in ophthalmic dispensing?
Well, it all started in high school. I actually got started in this field in high school. I did the vision care technology program at William H. Maxwell High School.
Really? I never had a vision care program in my high school.
Well, for the most part, for a while, William H. Maxwell, they were more of a cosmetology school, I think.
Oh, got it.
And then over the years, they added different programs. So they added vision care technology and medical assisting. So where it actually started, this is where I'm going to go way, way, way back how I got involved. So I went into the medical assisting program. That's how I went in.
Okay.
And during our second semester, our second year, we had to make a decision if we were going to go to vision care technology or stay on a medical assistant path.
And that's pretty typical in those programs. You have to decide. You start to get more intense in what you're doing. And so the field you're going in, you have to make a commitment so you can go down the path and take the classes for that path.
Yes. And they were very strategic about it, in my experience, I would say, because they brought the dean or the program administrator from New York City College of Technology to come down to speak to the students about the program.
Okay.
And I did not know what vision care technology was. I didn't know what ophthalmic dispensing was. I didn't really have a thought about eye care in general. And so the representative came down and spoke to us about the program, spoke to us about the importance of eye care and how it has an impact, how it impacts the lives of other people.
Yes.
And, because you need to see.
Absolutely.
And for some reason, he was able to tell what a prescription was for someone wearing their glasses just by looking at the lens. And I said, I want to be able to do that.
So this is a testament to the programs in school, because they do teach you and give you information to decide on a career path.
Yes. A lot of people don't see that for the most part, or they would like to see more of that. But yes, it's a great testament to have someone come down and really show that example, because if you don't know what you're going into prior, the chances of you making a decision is kind of slim to none. You have to outweigh it. But he came down and he explained to us the benefits of the program, showed what he can do just by looking at a pair of lens. And I thought that was like a magic trick or cool. I just needed to know that. And when I actually got into the program, you know what I realized? We take what we know about anatomy and our bodies and everyday in general so lax, so
for granted
that the eyeball, there are so many, it's a small, probably about this, or probably even smaller.
Yes.
And it has so many parts to it, so many intricate parts to it, so many functions to it that allows a person to actually see and be able to experience the world through their eyes. We did the anatomy class, we broke down vision and the vision spectrum and how light will come through your eye, diffract and land on the back of your retina and produce an image for your brain to see. OMG, it was like a drug. That was my first addiction. I've never been introduced to drugs until I was introduced to vision care and the eyes.
I could see how that's interesting, because even though I wear glasses, I never thought about all the pieces that allows me to see. It always scared me for anyone to even put a finger close to my eye, or if things got into my eye, I was always paranoid. And then I went to my optometrist, and they also it's a place where there's an optometrist and ophthalmologist and different eye care people, which I didn't even know the differences between. And I got a splinter in my eye.
Oh no.
And they literally plucked out my eye and took out the splinter. Like took it out. I don't know how it happened, but I had seen them do it to my grandmother when they scraped her cataract off. And they literally just did it so fast. I was in shock. Otherwise, I would have screamed. But they took a little tweezer, because he could see it on my eye. And he just did like I don't know how to do it. He just took it out, like pulled out my eye out the socket and took the tweezer. And I'm watching. I'm looking at him take the thing out. He numbed it first, so I wasn't feeling anything, but it was just so scary and frightening that your eye actually can come out.
Yeah.
And they do surgery on it. I never thought that it was, I always just think of my eyes as in my face.
Yeah, so it's a spherical ball, and there's an optic nerve, which is basically like a string. Yeah. That's
and I'm afraid it's gonna break my string.
Yeah, you don't want them to pop that string, because you won't see after that. But
what amazed me even more was I didn't even feel anything, because he totally numbed my eye and I didn't feel it, but it was just unnerving to see them performing like surgery on your own eye. So that to me was, oh my God, I realized I did not want to do anything with my eye.
Yeah, wow, that's an interesting story. I've heard of several other types of stories, but this is the first one where someone's eye was actually removed.
Yeah, well, they do it when you have glaucoma, and I guess there's like a film over your eye for older people, and they scrape it off, right? They pretty much like take your eyeball and clean it off and put it back so that you could see a little bit better. But I know. It's
I'm
scary
gonna,
to think about.
I'm gonna try to look for a video to see if, that procedure. Because
Yeah.
I do that too. I like to look at
Different.
surgical videos and of the eye and just to like learn more about the type of surgery they do. So I'm gonna look for that.
How
I'm gonna
did you decide just to do the eye wear instead of the eye care?
that is very interesting that you asked. Like, see, so when I got started, again, it's like ophthalmic dispensing is like a entry role. So
Okay.
I didn't know anything about it. All I know is that starting there, I'll be able to learn more about the industry, about the medical aspect of it. There was a time where I could have gone on to go to be an optometrist, but I decided not to do it because of several different reasons, which I don't remember all of them back then. But I was actually good and comfortable with what the area that I chose, and I wasn't thinking about Tynesha Frazier, the doctor. I was thinking about Tynesha Frazier, the super awesome optician. So it's.
And that's we all decide the path we want to go, and you could always go back and do the doctor part if you so desire, or if you found it interesting enough to want to be a doctor in that, then you could always go back to do that.
Yeah, and the other thing that I would say, there was so at the school, there was an opportunity where if I had transferred to Brooklyn College, that I would have been able to do like a bridge program to go to SUNY optometry.
Okay.
When the time passed, I felt it was too late. Optometry school is expensive.
Yes, it is.
And
But there are grants. So there are grants that
and
out there for African Americans or Native Americans that you can use.
of course, and the timing, again, my mindset was completely stuck on opticianry instead of being a doctor. But now thinking back on it, if I had made a different decision, I'm like, would it still be the same thing? I don't know.
Right.
But I always been interested, but I don't think, I guess I was interested to know about it, but not interested enough to do it.
Okay. And that's fine. That's fine. There's so many things in life we just don't even have the time to do. Or if it doesn't grab our interest at that point, we just go different. So you finished your optometry course. How did you move to your BS or BA course, your bachelor's course from that?
So after graduating with my associates in applied science, you have a degree, you go to graduation, you work in the field, you're making money. I was in a 4-year hiatus, and the school actually reached out and said, hey, we have this bachelor's program now.
Nice.
They didn't have it back then. So I guess I was the first class of that bachelor program in the school to do the Bachelor's of Health Service Administration at that time.
Nice.
So that was how I got into the bachelor's program. And
was that worth your while? Do you felt that was worth your while to do that program?
It was, because I learned so much about health services administration and the administrative aspect of running a medical office, and just really understanding how insurance works and how certain cares are provided and how the government plays a role into those things as well. Mm-hmm. So it really broadened my knowledge and idea about things that I didn't know previously. regarding the
Let me
health
ask you
service
this.
field. Hmm.
Did it become a passion of yours or just a job or just a career entry?
I would say a career entry.
What is your real passion? What are you passionate about?
I'm really passionate about personal development, sharing knowledge, educating others,
That's great.
mentorship,
We
and
have some of the
service.
same passions.
So it's almost like I have this really innate desire to continuously learn. Like I just want to take in a lot of information and learn new things and share what I learned. And
I do too.
I have the saying that never a master, always a student. No matter how far I get in life, I'm always going to be thinking, there's something out there and I can learn more.
But I disagree with the master and student thing because we are both. We are both at the same time. After you reach a certain level where you've learned and learned, then you become the master to the people who are learning from you. Even though you're continuing to be a student at a higher level and with someone else, but my giving back is that I'm now a master to a lot of people who know less than I do, right? And so I'm the mentor and I have a mentee, which I'm now imparting my knowledge, and I'm really the master imparting my knowledge to that mentee. So I think that you're a master after you reach a certain level, and then you become both things, moving forward in life.
Yeah, I really didn't see it from that perspective. I think for the master, I see someone who is a specialist, expert in their field or their area of knowledge. They don't need that additional help. They don't need mentors.
Oh no,
Never
ever, never ever any such thing. Never ever any such thing. There's always more to learn regardless of the level. So take a doctor who, there are certain fields that it's mandated that you must get certain amount of education every year. Being a doctor is one of them, and being a lawyer is another one, because there are always new things coming out that you don't know. If you stick to only what you knew back when you became a doctor and you've been a doctor for 30 years, you don't know all the new technology and all the new things that come out. So it's mandated that even though you're the master, you could be the head of surgery, you still must take certain number of courses and credits every year towards that, because you have to keep updated. So it's learning is a continual process that you go through of understanding how can I enhance what I'm already mastering and teaching other people to take. I didn't mean to give you like a little class, master class.
Master class. That's another podcast.
Yes, yes. But even though I'll give you a clear example, I got a doctorate, doesn't mean I'm going to stop learning. Doesn't mean I'm going to stop learning. I now take what I've learned and I sit in on classes, dissertation classes. I give feedback to people who are looking to get their doctorate, right? I can now say, this is not going to get you to pass your dissertation, so this needs to be redone. So I'm pretty much a master in that sense. But there's so much coming up in my field that I don't know, that I still continue to learn and learn every day, especially with technology. So I'm a student as well. I'll forever be a student while I'm showing people how to be a master.
Well, and that, so now that I'm listening to you, I can say I agree in some areas and I'm still wary about others. Okay. The reason why I agree, because it does make perfect sense that, masters should be in a position where they can learn and show others how to be masters. But from what I have experienced and what I observe, a lot of people who want to play the role of master, they don't consider themselves as a learner. They like, once they become the master, they say, I got it all, I know it all.
Oh, no.
So, I'm not,
I
don't
wouldn't want a master like
do
that.
that. Huh?
I wouldn't want a master like that.
So you don't think like that because you're coming from a place of master and student. But there are for the masses or whoever it apply to, whoever might be listening, if you come across someone who thinks they're the master, they have all the answers and they don't need mentorship, they don't need people giving them feedback. Those for that type of group, I'm saying never a master. I'm always a student. I'm not that person who's gonna think that I know it all or have all the answers. I'm always gonna be in a learning mindset. You are unique.
I don't think I'm unique. I know a lot of people like me who know, there are people who know way more than I do. And so I try to work with those people so that they can teach me what they know. But the reason they know more than I do is because they're continually learning, and they're out there even more than I am, learning these new things. And I like to learn from people. Mm-hmm. They like to learn and take classes and, enhance their learning, different style, right? Different learning style. So I look to those gurus who are always learning themselves. If you tell me that you've stopped learning and no one can tell you anything, you're not going to be someone that I'm going to affiliate with, quite frankly.
Well, I've heard it. So,
and there are teachers in colleges. I think they come off as, I'm the know-it-all and do it my way or the highway. That's just a power trip. That's a power trip. They don't really know everything. It's just a power trip.
Yeah. Well, it is a power trip. It definitely is
a conversation around that. But tell me about your honor society. How you segued after you've done all this. Did the honor society come before you went into career or after you became, deep into your career path?
The honor societies came while I was in school. So because my GPA was a 3.8.
Okay, that's pretty good.
Thank you. I was inducted into Chi Alpha Epsilon National Society, Tau Phi Sigma. These were for New York City College of Technology.
Right.
Then I also became a member of National Society of Collegiate Scholars, which I actually serve as a scholarship reviewer. I don't think I'm supposed to say that, but
I don't have anything for you to review.
Yeah. But it's really.
When in the review process, are you reviewing students to come in, or people are coming to enter the society, or what is it kind of?
It's
on a high level.
Yeah, it's a high level.
Okay. Yeah. No, very good. I know they have reviewers like in doctoral programs if you want to publish, and they'll review certain things and make sure it's right and that you're doing the right things.
Yes.
I'm assuming that's the kind of reviewing you're talking about.
And it's interesting that I came that far to actually be able to join these societies, because in the beginning I wasn't always a student. High school I was about a B, and junior high school I was about a C. It was a matter of doing what you can to pass, right?
Yes.
And not really being interested in what was being taught to you.
That's
and
a
then
big thing, the interest.
Big thing.
If you're interested, you'll want to learn more, and that shows up in your grades. You'll study more, you'll get more immersed in what you're doing, and that shows up in your grades.
Yeah, it does. And So I would say that to round it off, I'm a B and a B/A student, but
Fine, that's fine.
but
That's better than C and D. Really.
yeah,
And
but
what do you do? How often are these honor societies? You seem to be in, you mentioned three, which it seems to be a lot. How do you manage that with all the other things that you're doing in terms of time?
well, when they have events or looking for some kind of input or feedback or whatever promotion they got going on, they'll send it out to the alumni, the membership, and then we'll get involved the best way we can. For Chi Alpha Epsilon, I actually served on the board, the e-board for the chapter at that time. But as far as the other ones are concerned, I didn't serve on the board for those.
Okay.
I just been a member.
Okay. Yeah. I know I'm a member of some honor society. Beta Gamma Sigma, I think it is.
What's Beta Gamma Sigma?
It's for doctoral students and people who have gotten their doctorate, and I think masters as well, MBA students. Let's see. Beta Gamma Sigma.
Cool.
They have a chapter here in New York. They do continuous learning things as well as networking.
You didn't tell us about this.
It's not something that I really publicize because I participate, but I'm not an active participant as sounding like you are. I'm a participant in the sense of I go there to learn and network. If they have a class or a speaker, I should say, coming in, that's of real interest to me, I'll participate. If they have networking events, which in person, they used to have a lot of networking events, then I would go in and I meet a group of people that I normally wouldn't meet someplace else. And I've invited other people to it. But I can't say I'm not on a board and I'm not, that active in it unless I'm being a member.
Okay. I mean, they do offer a lot of support and a lot of service. Like there are developmental programs, leadership seminars, communication seminars, different things where you can actually learn. And of course, there's a job search feature or career advancement feature. So there's a lot of information that the societies and the portals offer you to, progress in your endeavors. So.
Well, let me ask you this. I'm asking a lot of stuff today. We've talked about all your involvement in these, from honor societies to how you got into optometry. Let's talk about your family for a minute. What is the impact do you think you've had on your family being the first one to go out and pretty much pave the way for others if you're the first? How has that impacted your family?
That is an interesting question. I don't know.
Well, do you see other people asking you to mentor them in your family, or do you become the go-to person to ask questions about education and moving forward?
So to be honest, I would say probably once or twice. Well, everyone comes to me about eye stuff, right? Anything related to the eye.
I might start calling you too.
Everyone comes to me for that. As far as education or doing stuff, I have had a few people come to me and say, yes, in the family, can you help me with this? Can you help me with that? But to really know what kind of impact I have in seeing that I paved the way and that they can carry on the torch or do the sky is the limit for them, I haven't had anyone had that conversation with me.
Have you try to start that conversation of, hey, I can help you with this, this, and this?
I put it out there. I put it out there, definitely. I say, hey, yeah, if you need help with this, I can help you. And I put it out there.
But they don't take advantage of that, is what you're saying. Because you're a resource. You are now, when you're the first in your family to do things, and you paved this path where nobody has gone before in your family. You now become a resource to them. I mean, asking them and offering your time and the value of your knowledge is one thing. For them to actually take you up on it, you've done your part pretty much by putting it out there and offering them these things. So do you think there's something more you could do to encourage them to either from going to school, getting their college degrees, finding a new educational path? Are there tangible things you feel you could do to help that?
Well, as far as higher education, a few family members have pursued that, and they got their degrees, bachelor's, associates. And I'm not going to say, or I don't know for sure if it had anything to do with me, right? Because that's not what it's really about. But I would like to help them, if they so choose, to probably join an organization like Toastmasters and better their communication and leadership skills, and or join a volunteer organization. I would try to pave the way in that sense to show them that, yes, let me help you navigate that and increase your network that way. That's what I can offer now.
I started this podcast because a lot of people don't even know that we're the first ones in their family to do things. And it doesn't matter what. It could be the first to travel abroad. Every time I do something that I've not seen done in my family, I try to drag my family into all of it. I mean, they know me by now. I'll do trips. If I'm traveling, I love to travel. I love to go to other countries. I love to learn about other people and customs because it helps me understand people at home better, right? If you have never traveled to Spain and you meet someone here in New York from Spain, you don't understand their perspective of how they're seeing New York. But if you go to Spain and see what they do there as customs, and you come back home and say, the light goes on. This is why that person is doing this here. And I never understood it. That's because that's what they know in their country. And they're just bringing that. And maybe because I'm an immigrant and I have a lot of family from different countries, that I understand their perspective. And one of the things I'm trying to do in business, particularly in business, is I see a lot of immigrants come to this country and they try to do business the way they did it in other countries. And the laws are different. I'll give you just a general one that everybody knows. In other countries, you have to pay off law enforcement sometimes. That's just a way of doing business. If you want to get things out of when you ship things and you need to get it out, you have to pay off the guy at the customs. They don't call it paying off. It's just pay to play. That's how you get things out. Here in this country, that's called bribery. If you do that, it's called a bribe, even with politicians. In other countries, you pay politicians to get certain things done. Even if you want to start your business, you pay a politician to help you get into business. You come to this country, don't try to give money to a politician because you'll go to jail. That's called bribery. So part of my role in traveling and teaching is to teach other business owners how to do business in this country and letting go of some of what they've learned, the bad, I call them bad behaviors or bad practices that they've learned in other countries. And I only know that because I travel a lot and see what's done there and what is the norm. So when someone comes to me as a coach and say, oh, I'm trying to get into government to do business with it, I'm like, please do not give anybody a bribe to get into government, because that's for them, that is what they know how to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so my travel, I mix my traveling is educational for me. It's fun, but it's also educational. And so now I take my family with me when I'm going places. Hey, I'm going to Australia. I think I don't even know how many people came to Australia with me, because no one had gone to Australia, and some of them had never even thought about going to Australia, right? And here's an opportunity to go to the other side of the world. They're literally on the other side of the world. Or if you want to go to India, I dragged a bunch of family and friends with me to India. I was doing business there, so it was easy for me to get that schedule. They had so much fun. And they come back and go, now I understand why Indian people do blah, 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 blah. Now I understand the food, the Indian food in the Indian restaurant is not really Indian food. It's American. It's Americanized, because what we got over there was, so different, right? If you go to Italy and you ask for pizza, they're like looking at you like, pizza, that's an American food. You're not going to get the same kind of pizza here. And you start learning those things. So that's how I'm giving back to my family in the educational process of traveling.
Wow, that is an interesting. So you just took me all over the world just now, Sandi. Thank you for that.
I love to go to new places all over the world. And there are places I haven't gone. I mean, there's so many places. I've not been to Asia, really. China, Vietnam, Thailand. Those were on my bucket list to do. And then when COVID happened, all of that got pulled back, because I also realized I've not gone to a lot of places in this country, right? I'm always running outside of the country, but there's so many things even locally that we don't know. And it's there, like you talked about before, taking advantage of things. We take it for granted. I remember when the World Trade was here, and I used to take people from out of town to go to the World Trade and go to the top, or to go to the Empire State Building and go to the top. And I never thought one day that it wouldn't be there, right? And then after it was gone, I'm like, where are my photos? I don't even have any photos. I just took photos of other people up there, but not of myself, because I thought I could go there anytime I want and take a picture. And just even in this country, so I'm talking way too much on this podcast, because it should be your podcast. But even in this country, there's so many places that we haven't gone and haven't seen. Grand Canyon, right? That was something I woke up one day and I've never been to the Grand Canyon. I've never been to California to see the redwood forest. There's so much here that I haven't seen, and that's important to me too, to learn from home.
So you have quite a few firsts for yourself coming up.
I always want to create first, not just for myself. I want to create first for myself, because I want to experience this life in totality before I leave here. I want to learn, and I want to also give back to other people what I've learned, because I will take it with me. That's one thing. They say you can't take certain things with you. I will be taking my knowledge with me unless I spit it out or do these podcasts and have it recorded so that other people can see that, right?
Yeah, that's definitely. I am right there with you when you say that you want to just get the most out of it. live a life of purpose and fulfillment, and just try so many things that you can learn from and share that knowledge. That's exactly why, that's exactly me. I feel that I'm always trying to do certain things and do new things because I hate to see myself in a box.
Yes.
If I have to put myself in a box, Sandi, it will be like spiritual and emotional death for me. You know, oh, Ty, why you always want to do this? You want to do that? You know, you want to do this now? You want to do that now? It's like, don't just focus on one thing. I can't.
There's so much.
It's so much. It's so much life, so much to experience in life, and to not even give it a shot would kill me.
Yes.
But
you got to take your shot.
Yeah.
I truly believe that. Go out, try, at least just try. And for me, failures, I've said this a million times, I don't believe in failures. I believe in things not working out according to plan. Because if you try it, that's what the word try meaning. It doesn't mean it's going to work. It means that you took a shot at it. And you might like it and you might not. But until you try it, try it till you like it, right? That's what a lot of people try it. You learn whether or not you like it. And if you don't like it, you stop. And if you like it, you continue or explore it more.
But I would say is that the purpose of it all in this life experience, right? Just to be able to give something a shot. And if you don't like it, you know for a fact you don't like it. And you know that you didn't waste so many years down the line to figure that out.
Exactly.
And then when someone says, well, do you like this? And you say no, you're not saying no because you just don't think you could try it, or you don't think you don't like it. Yes. You know for a fact you don't like it because it wasn't for you.
You can give them a why.
And you can give them a why.
You can give them a why. If you can't give somebody why you don't like it, then you haven't experienced it to the fullest.
Yeah, pretty much. And
honestly, I try to follow that mantra in my life, even with food. There's some foods I don't even want to try. Just the name of it and just whatever, you tell me, I won't try. And I have family members who will try any kind of food, right? As long as it's not going to kill you. Whatever heads, cow's head or brains or whatever, they're going to try it. To me, that's where my limitation, I know what my limitations are. If you tell me something and I find it disgusting or it won't get to my mouth. But I'll try things like, I can't stand beets. I hate beets. And my mother's been trying to get me to eat beets my entire life. She's not given up. And you know what? Every so often I try it. I'm like, okay, I tried it roasted the last time. Maybe I'll try it in a drink this time. Or I'll try it, and no matter what, I'm still like, ugh, I haven't found a beet that I love.
That's interesting. When we talk about food, it gets really interesting for me. There's only probably 2 types of animals on this entire planet, besides humans, because I'm not a cannibal, that I will not eat, right? And it's cat and dogs. Okay.
Yes, if you say that to me,
everything else is fair game. And the reason why I say that is because I grew up in a household where, my grandfather, he was a hunter, he was a fisherman.
Yeah.
He will bring home deer, which, is venison, and, there was rabbit, there's a whole bunch of things. And these are the things that I experienced during my childhood, right? I've seen them.
Where did he live? Was your grandfather living?
In Brooklyn.
And he went hunting for deer in Brooklyn?
I'm going to tell you that story in a second.
No, I'm not eating a Brooklyn deer.
No, it's not in Brooklyn, but I'm going to tell you that story in a second. He lived in Brooklyn, but he went hunting and he brought it. But I'm going to tell you that story in a moment.
Okay.
But, so that was my childhood. That's what I got used to, and it was my norm. Now to go back to the hunting part and the deer. So him and his friends will go away. My grandfather, rest his soul, will go away to hunt for game animal. That's what they are.
Yeah.
And he because he had a hunting license, right? And he would bring that here to Brooklyn. And the thing about these type of animals, when they have to like stay out to dry, they have to hang to dry.
Yeah.
So they will hang in the backyard.
In Brooklyn.
In Brooklyn. Yeah, this is what. So, imagine being the kid in your class where everybody knows that Bambi is dead in your backyard.
Backyard.
I didn't know that, you know, it was that for me, it wasn't, it was like, oh, okay, you know, oh, so it's food, you know, it's got to dry out and then we're going to fix it up and skin it. And
I know the process because I have a lot of hunters in my
life. And so I'm actually comfortable with all of that, you know, and so being comfortable with all of that, I'm okay with trying other things.
Yeah.
You know, and rabbit is actually good. People like it to chicken. Yeah. But to go back to the deer meat, the venison, first of all, there's restaurants that do serve it as a delicacy.
Oh yeah.
And it tastes like a gummier beef. And if they don't tell you that it's deer meat, you would think that you're eating beef chunks. I'm just going to throw that out there.
No, you can't throw that out there. It has a very distinct taste. Any kind of mutton or venison, whether it's deer or goat or lamb, has a very very distinct taste. And no matter how much it gets curried, because, you know, I'm West Indian, curried goat is like a big thing, even lamb. And no matter what it is, it reaches my palate and it has such a distinct taste that I don't even bother with it. And I can identify it in anything.
So that just means that you have extra sensitive palates, and because you have tried it before, you have tried it before, so you know the difference. But okay, so let me just say, for anyone else out there who may be listening that haven't, they probably won't be able to tell the difference. But if you tried it before, you know.
Yeah.
But
there are things I just won't eat, like alligator and crocodile, and
I would try it. I would try that. I would try snake. There's a lot of things I would try. The only two I won't try is cats and dogs because I don't see them as food.
They're pets.
They're my pets.
While in other countries, that's food.
I know. And we're not going to talk about that, but it breaks my heart.
It's back to the traveling.
Yeah.
It's back to traveling. When you go to other countries and you see things that are food to them because that's local to them, I don't have an opinion of you can't eat it. Because if you grew up in that country and that is the thing that is prevalent as food in your country, you're going to eat it.
Yes.
You know, iguanas. I've gone to places they eat iguanas as food. And I'm like, that's a lizard. I'm not eating that. I've gone, when I went to Peru, they had like hamsters. They have it's like rats, I call them. You know, and they have guinea pigs, right? Those are big foods because they run wild, and they're in a jungle. Like Peru is in a forest, right? So you're going to eat whatever is there for food as you. And I totally understand that. And so I don't really say to people like, oh, yuck, you're eating that. If I understand their culture, then that's fine for you to eat. I might not want to eat it, but that's fine for you to eat, you know?
I understand it's their culture. Let's say in terms of cats and dogs, let's say that. But I understand if whoever eats that, that's their culture, or that's what they want to eat. But, you know, if that's on my plate, you know, I'm not going to eat it.
That's it.
You know? But it's
interesting, though, to talk about just traveling opens you up to all of this. We're talking about our first, and the first time you go someplace and see something, you might be grossed out. But if you're there for a little while, you're like, oh, that's the norm around here, you know? Things like eating with your hands, right? Mm-hmm. That's not a norm for me. We use utensils. But there are other countries, you eat with your hands. And I have to adjust to that when I go someplace. Like, oh my God, or eat with your right hand versus your left, which if I don't want to get my hand dirty, then I would tend to go to my left hand because I'm using my right hand to do things. And that might be offensive to some people or just not done in some cultures, right? Mm-hmm. And so you learn all of these things when you travel. And for me, those are firsts that I can take back and teach other people. So
I'm definitely going to try to travel in that sense and learn some firsts that way. But yeah.
Great. Well, today we've talked to you about everything from your sorority to school to the things you want to do. And I thank you for that, Tynesha, because that's been really, really eye-opening for me. And I hope I did both my master and teacher role today.
Yes, you did.
This podcast. And I appreciate your coming.
Thank you, Sandi. Thank you for having me. It's been an amazing experience to do this first podcast.
All right. Well, I hope we can do it again soon. This is Dr. Sandi. Thank you so much for sharing your journey on the first, where no two stories are alike, even if the circumstances are similar. Let this discussion serve as inspiration for others to show what's possible, and more importantly, to produce seconds and thirds.